specifically with Tuchel, he was a super attacking manager earlier in his career.
Yeah.
Then he became a more defensive one. He's played a 3. He's played a 4. This is actually somebody who's played a whole bunch of different systems. Mm-hmm. And it seems weird to me that now he's very much fixated on this back 3, which obviously delivered the Champions League. He's not wrong to do it.
Yeah.
But it is somebody where I kind of feel like Chelsea have so many players who are on similar levels that you're not going to necessarily, and then they seemingly change in many key positions every week, that it's hard to really have a defined system because who's important might change week to week.
Yeah, to go to the first thing you said, my first question would be, how did you recruit the players? Did you recruit them to play in a certain style, or just recruit them because they're just good players and you just want them at your football club?
Yeah, because I had a bunch of crappy managers before who I've now sacked.
Okay.
And they went to my idiot sporting director and said, "Oh, buy him," and he bought them.
Okay. So
we're mid-table, we're okay, but they're not bad players.
So the new manager coming in would be to do what? To get you really flying up the table?
To get the best out of the players I have.
Okay. I think I prefer the managers who have a certain style, because then that's what you buy into, and you can make a choice then from the get-go whether you want that for your club, and for the players that you have, whether you believe that they'll be able to do it. Like, say, Ziyech, for example, somebody who's played in the Netherlands, which is obsessed with 4-3-3, and all of a sudden they play a 4-3-3 at Chelsea, and he looks like he's incredible. Well, that kind of makes sense.
So why sign Ziyech? I mean, I guess Tuchel inherited him, right?
There you go. Yeah, that's the difference. But Ziyech is still capable of playing in the system that Tuchel has been playing for the majority of his time at Chelsea, because he's a very good player and he can be coached to understand it. Whether or not you get the absolute best out of him, I'm not sure, because I would argue, like, I hate sounding like I'm a shill for Man City or whatever, but there are players who play in that team who, in my opinion, don't play to their absolute best, but they do what's right for the team and the collective, and as a consequence, they look very good.
I think if your manager, and I don't know that could ever afford to hire Pep or Jurgen, I think when you've got one of those guys, it's a bit different.
You don't think Tuchel's one of those guys?
I don't think he's on that level, no. Do you?
Why?
Would you put Thomas Tuchel on the same level as Pep Guardiola? Come on, this is an easy answer.
This is a very easy answer. It's a very easy answer, but Tuchel head-to-head against Pep, up until recently, was doing quite well.
That's fine. Doesn't mean he's a better manager.
But I don't think that's a coincidence, though. I think there's something about it. But I understand where you're coming from, and it's interesting. It is very, very interesting, because I think I like what he does, and I think if I was playing for him, I'd rather he was consistent. And then if it failed, it failed because it wasn't right, maybe the next person to come in might be right. But in terms of changing just to appease people, one or two in the team, I think it misses the point.
Well, it's interesting, because, not that I want to tie everything into Ralph Rangnick and Manchester United, I think it's very evident that Rangnick is somebody with a philosophy and a style of play. Mm-hmm. And he's come in mid-season. He hasn't had time, or he tried it early on. It didn't work.
Yeah.
He hasn't had time to work on it, because it takes a lot of work and it takes certain types of players.
Yeah.
And now he's adapted to the players that he has.
Mm-hmm. And how's that going for him?
I mean, the results haven't been great in their last 3 games, as you know, as you're loving the fact that, knocked out of the FA Cup, 2 draws after that. But equally, they have created a lot of chances.
Yes, they have, yeah.
So, but I don't know. Like, it's an eternal thing, right? And obviously, people will come out and say, well, the answer's always in the middle. You need to have certain principles, blah, blah, blah. But I just think it's an interesting thing for Tuchel. And I think, especially with a view towards the summer, right? Especially with Conte and Jorginho getting older. At the back, obviously, Christensen and Rudiger, free agents. Yeah. Recruitment becomes more important. Yes. And also Chelsea are going to have to start shifting some of these players that they have on their books who, have value, but they're going to have to try to get some money back. Mm-hmm. I think recruitment becomes absolutely, absolutely critical. And I think how Tuchel interacts with their recruitment people is going to be very, very important to see how they can go to the next level.
And as he's recruiting, do you think he's going to be recruiting people to fit the system, or just good players who might be okay with whatever system they go upon on any given week?
Tuchel has used many different systems. In some ways, we're so wedded to this idea of him with a back 3, right? But he's playing a back 3 because he's got a lot of very good central defenders, right? If Rudiger and Christensen aren't there, maybe I don't replace both of them. Maybe I just bring one guy in and then I put my faith in Chalobah and or whatever, right? I don't. Maybe I play a back four next year. He's not. I don't think in his head, he says like I must play a back three, right? If he starts believing that the players in other areas of the pitch are more important to him, I mean, I think he also plays a back three because, defensively, if Conte's going to Conte's obviously had a lot of injuries, but if Conte's going to run around and press high, and Jorginho isn't exactly the second coming of Roy Keane, maybe that's part of the reason why he plays a back three. Maybe he doesn't necessarily trust Reece James and Ben Chilwell defensively the way he might have. So I think a lot of these things come into the equation. I do think it has a negative knock-on effect on his front men.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that this is the greatest system for them the way they're set up, especially if there's this continuous upheaval, continuous turnover of the people who play in his front three.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.